Hi guys, Neil at Italia Autos here. Welcome back to another video on my channel. In last week's episode, we stripped all the rear suspension off the 159 and started refurbishing the bits we needed to and getting the new bits ready to go on. We are now at the point where everything is ready to go back into place. The subframe is all refurbished. All the rust on the floor pan is now gone, so we can put all the arch liners back in. I'm letting these hang here for the minute just so I can bolt the subframe up out the way. I'm not going to rebuild it on the floor because it's going to be a pain, so I'm going to get it up in the air at a nice working height and then start rebuilding everything. I am waiting for a few more parts to come. The suspension still hasn't arrived, and an anti-roll bar bushes haven't arrived. So other than that, we can get most of it back together now. So we're going to start by getting this back into place. Yep. So I wouldn't have fancied lifting this into position even with the forklift, because I've got to get the subframe lined up. I'm going to have to get the top suspension lined up, so it's just easier to rebuild it like this. The customer has just given me some new brake hoses. I wasn't aware I was going to be changing them at the time, otherwise I would have done these earlier. Right, you might be asking, well, why is he putting the brake discs on and the brakes on when he hasn't put everything else on? That's because I haven't got the rest of the parts yet. The customer's ordered them and I'm just waiting for the two rear arms to arrive now. So in order to fill my time, I am putting the rest of it together as much as possible. While I'm still waiting for parts, I have been busy stripping down at the front end. There's not much left on the front end by the engine, the front bumper and the radiator now. But yeah, it's the same story at the back, so I'll show you what's going on underneath here. Yeah, rust in behind there. You've got rust coming all the way up there, a little spot up there, all the way around the edge. The air filter mount is rotting as well. That's a very common problem, to be honest. And rust all the way around there, as well as up there as well. And the other side is exactly the same. I have just put sort of a blank in for the brakes, so no more leaks out and makes a mess on my floor. So let's go and show you this subframe now. Right, the subframe isn't that bad. I've seen a lot worse. It probably wouldn't need any, if much, welding at all. And if it did need welding, it's going to be in this point here and over on this side. So yeah, in quite a bad way, but you know, there's been worse ones I've had to weld and repair. So it's time to get filthy dirty again, getting rid of rust, and get all this prepared today, and then see if we can start rebuilding the subframe and get that ready to go on the next working day. These wishbones were a proper pain to line up. I can't remember what brand they were, but they weren't very easy to get into position, especially considering that the subframe wasn't even on the car, so it does make it 10 times easier. But we got there in the end. I wonder how many of you have noticed that I've put the engine mounts on the wrong way around. Didn't realise until I put the subframe on, so it was just a 5-minute case of swapping them over. nice coat of acid etch primer, a few hours to dry, and then a nice coat of stone chip. Well, this is one of those parts I wish I'd put on with the subframe. I didn't record any of it, but I also refurbished this mount and the water bottle mount, which is located on the opposite side. The plan was to finish the rear subframe completely, get the car back on the ground, turn the car around, put it back on the ramp, but things didn't go to plan because I had to wait so long for parts, so we ended up refurbishing the front subframe and having to refit it with the car pointing the wrong way around, so I had to use my axle stands and jacks to get it into place. Don't forget, if any of you guys want this sort of work doing, pop me an email through to italiaautoparts@sky.com and I'll gladly give you a quote. So where are we at now? It's been very sporadic working on this over the last it's 3 weeks I've been doing this for now, probably longer than that. Waiting for loads of parts to come from the customer that he's ordered. As you saw at the end there, I fitted a strut brace that he ordered last minute. He's also decided that he wants the brake calipers refurbishing, so they are being sent off now, so that's why all the brakes are still off. So I'll just show you everything I've done now. So we've had new wheel bearings. They are all brand new and all fitted fine. I did ask the customer about refurbishing these front stone guards, and he wanted them leaving as they are because you won't see them when the brakes are on anyway. All the new wishbones and arches have been fitted. Everything has been undersealed, restored, refitted. Floor pan is all done and looking pretty. The old exhaust is on. Once the brakes are done, I'm going to be taking it to have a whole new exhaust fitted to it. So once all the brake calipers come back to me, I can get those fitted with some new brake discs and pads. I can then bleed the brakes, get the car on the ground, take it to have its new stainless steel exhaust made for it. Four-wheel alignment, and I think that's about it, then we're all done. So, timescale, how long has all this work taken? I think I have spent just over 6 full days doing this car, so it's been a lot of hard work gone into it, and hopefully the customer will enjoy it. It's now about a week later, and I finally got the brakes back from being refurbished, so I can start fitting the final piece to the puzzle now. So let's get cracking and get the final bit done. Well, there we go, all the brakes are fitted. I have just bled them off camera. I've just pulled it off the ramp. Quick turn around outside. Saw it was really quite low. I'll insert a picture of it now. So I've just got it back on the other ramp now. Raised it by another 5 rotations. So hopefully that should be a good centimetre or so taller now. So let's get it back down, get it outside, and we shall see how high it is or isn't. But before we take it off the ramp, just remind you that the exhaust is being changed. That's where it's going as soon as we've finished all the mechanicals. Everything is all restored, all the arms, all the floor pan. All the rust is now gone, if you just remember how much rust was all around there. All the way to the front. All the subframe, all the bolts have been refurbished. New wishbones, new bearings. It's had a ton of work done to it. And now it's finally finished and he can finally leave my workshop, because it's been stuck on that ramp for getting on for 2 months now. That's how long it's took to do everything on it. So I'll be grateful to have that ramp back so I can get some other cars in and get some other long-term stuff done. And there you go, on the ramp you can see that it's actually a good centimetre higher, which is what we wanted to see. And at the front, it's also higher now. You can now get your fingers in between the tyre. And that's the same both sides now. So let's get it outside and see how it drives now. Right, let's get it outside and see how it's doing. Just going to take it for a very, very short spin at the minute, just to make sure all the nuts and bolts are tight, nothing's rubbing, and I don't hear anything untoward. So far so good. I do expect me having to mess around with some things on it, as being as it's had so much work done. So far so good. Those brakes need to bed in because they literally are brand new. No rubbing on full lock. The little noise at the front driver's side then when I turned round, so it's probably a brake pipe rubbing somewhere, I would say, because there aren't clips in the one bit, so I do need to secure those up. It survived the first test drive. So this one's taken quite a while. I think it's about 7 days total in work of all the rust to get rid of, fitting all the components, plus all the time I spent with it on my ramp waiting for all the components to come. So after several long weeks, she's finally finished. All the suspension is sitting just at the right height. The customer didn't want it too low because he still wants a very comfortable ride. Could have done with a wash, but it's raining all day here today, so it's not going to get a wash, I'm afraid. And now onto this side. Again, all done. There's not much to see. It's all been done underneath, which you've already seen already. So there we go, guys. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.